Part 1. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Son, I am your aunt. The Suk family, the richest man in the Dragon Kingdom, is holding a 60th birthday party for Mr. Suk. The entrance to the semi-open Suk family manor is very lively. The butler and a group of bodyguards stood at the gate to strictly verify the invitations of the guests. It was July, there was no air conditioning at the door, there was a lot of traffic, and it was extremely hot. The housekeeper was driving away two people who wanted to sneak into the banquet. He was wiping sweat with a handkerchief when his trouser leg was suddenly pulled. He lowered his head and found a little baby standing at his feet. The little baby had a bun and wore a dirty imitation Tang-style dress. His face is a little dirty, and he is carrying a small pink crossbody bag on his waist. He looks to be only 3 years old. She was asking in a soft and delicate voice, "Hello, is this Sulinchen's house?" "Yes," the housekeeper replied with a kind smile. "Child, which family are you from? You have to live with your parents, and you are not allowed to call our old man by his name. You have to call him Grandpa Suk." The little baby blinked his eyes. "You can't call him Grandpa, it's confusing. I'm his cousin Mian. Today is Sulinchen's 60th birthday. I'm here to celebrate his birthday with Dad, but I don't have an invitation. Can you help inform me?" After hearing these words, the butler's smile immediately faded. A little baby with a height of less than 100 centimeters actually claims to be Mr. Su's cousin? How can this be? The master has never said that he has a collateral relative who is younger but so senior. The housekeeper said in a cold voice, "My little friend, don't blindly ask for relatives. You can't go in without an invitation. You should leave as soon as possible." The Suk family is the richest man in the Dragon Kingdom, and many people are trying to curry favor with them. But while the Suk family manor is holding a banquet, it is indeed a bit excessive to push the children out to play scheming. The housekeeper ordered the bodyguards to patrol more carefully and not give anyone a chance to take advantage of the situation. Mian stood at his feet with a small frown on her face and an innocent look on her face. "She is Sulinchen's cousin, that's right. This is what my mother and daddy said personally. This is written in the genealogy, and there are ancestral jade pendants to prove it." Mian reached for the jade pendant and family tree in the small bag, and was about to hand it to the housekeeper when she was suddenly pushed. She finally managed to stand firm, and when she turned her head to look, the person pushing her was a little boy with a fierce look on his face. "Little beggar, don't stand at the door of my house." Mian frowned and was about to speak when another exquisitely dressed woman appeared behind the little boy. The woman pulled the little boy over and scolded, "Why did you touch her? She's so dirty. She might have an infectious disease." While speaking, the woman handed the invitation letter in her hand to the steward. "You should be careful and don't let such a dirty kid get into the party." The housekeeper glanced at the invitation and immediately became very excited. The woman standing in front of him is called Lin Mei. She is the sister of the eldest young master's girlfriend and will be a relative of the Suk family in the future. So he bowed and said to Lin Mei, "Don't worry, I will definitely not put any children of unknown origin in there." Mian saw that the housekeeper's attitude had changed so quickly, and that mother and son had no contact with the Suk family, so she felt strange. "You are not from the Suk family, how could you not let Mian in?" Lin Mei did not expect Mian to dare to reply, "Little beggar, to tell you the truth, my sister is about to get married to the eldest young master of the Suk family. I am the eldest sister of the Suk family. It is okay to prevent you, a little beggar, from entering." The little boy she was holding made a face directly. "Little beggar, you can't get in, just a little bit." Mian was a little angry. "I can get in." This sentence made the little boy angry. He broke away from the woman's hand and raised his hand to slap Mian in the face. Before the slap even landed on her face, Mian retaliated and hit her hard. There was a snap, and the boy touched his hands and cried loudly. Lin Mei was furious. "You little beggar, are you looking for death? Throw her away from me. What are you doing at the door of my house?" Suddenly a young male voice interrupted Lin Mei's sharp screams. Hearing a nice sound, Mian looked over curiously. The man who spoke was wearing sunglasses and a mask, and his face couldn't be seen at all. But the steward of the Su family raised a smile and bowed to the man. "Seventh young master, you are back." Mian laughed when she heard the housekeeper call the man seventh young master. Dad said that Su Lin's Hung gave birth to 7 sons. It seems that this tall man is Su Chenfei, the 7th eldest son in Su Linzhen's family, and he is her 7th grandnephew. "Hello, great-nephew." Since it was the first time they met, Mian knew that her grandnephew and grandnephew did not recognize her, so Mian took the initiative to say hello politely, trying to be a generous and kind elder. Su Chenfei was stunned for a moment when he was shouted at. When he looked down, he found a child standing at his feet. The child's face is a little dirty, but it does not affect the exquisiteness and cuteness of her little face. There are also those big eyes with long eyelashes, dark and clear, full of innocence of a child. Su Chenfei was a little interested. He took off his sunglasses and mask to reveal a man's face that was too delicate. He raised his eyebrows and asked Mian, "What did you call me?" "Grandnephew, your daddy is Su Lin's Hung, and I am your cousin. I am here to celebrate your daddy's birthday." After saying that, Mian handed the family tree in her hand to her grandnephew. "Look, this is my family. That genealogy." Su Chenfei was speechless. "Ah, little guy, are you crazy? Cousin-in-law. This relationship is separated by several generations." Just when Su Chenfei was about to get up and ask the housekeeper to check where the crazy kid came from, he saw the kid take out a jade pendant that he was very familiar with from his bag. That jade pendant is a very precious thing that his father kept in the safe. It is said to be a symbol of the Su family. He also carved one for each of the 7 brothers according to the style of this jade pendant, but none of the 7 brothers liked to wear it. In addition, his father often said at home that if their great-uncle had not gone away from the world with his great-uncle because he married into her family, this jade pendant could also be used by great-uncle to consecrate it and ward off evil spirits. There is a jade pendant. Is what Ziona Ichuan said true? But, no matter how cute the little breast dumpling is, she can't really be his cousin's grandmother. This is too outrageous. Su Chenfei couldn't accept it at all. Mian was sure that Su Chenfei had seen the jade pendant, and said with a sweet voice, "You see, Mian is not crazy, you are Mian's great-nephew." After hearing this, Lin Mei sounded like an elder who was very close to Su Chenfei. "I say Sci-fi, it is common for dirty children like this to have unclear minds. Don't be fooled." When he spoke, he was full of dislike for Mian. "What Sci-fi? Get away, you and I are not familiar with each other," Su Chenfei replied angrily to Lin Mei. After finishing the reply, he said to Mian, "Ignore her, Mian. You come with me first to find my dad. I let my dad see if these things are real." Mian nodded. It would be great if she could go in, then she could complete daddy's mission, and then go back to the mountain to find daddy's mother. She closed the small bag and happened to hear Lin Mei speak again. "Xiaofei, how do you talk? In terms of relationship, you and your brother have to call me auntie." Su Chenfei had already stood up at this time, with disgust still on his face. "What eldest sister? I don't know how your sister Linro confuses my eldest brother. Anyway, I, Su Chenfei, will not recognize you as a relative." His eldest brother is very shrewd. He really doesn't know how he fell in love with a woman named Linro, and today he is going to announce his engagement to Linro. That woman looked like a white lotus at first glance, and I don't know how the elder brother was deceived. What's even more irritating is that his parents actually said that as long as the 30-year-old eldest son can get married, it doesn't matter what the girl's identity or personality is. If she has a granddaughter in the future, I don't know if the second elder is crazy about her granddaughter. The little girl is really that cute? Since they can't have 7 sons in a row, do they have to get their sons married early so they can have a granddaughter? Suchinfei cursed his parents' behavior, lowered his head and asked Mian to go inside, and raised his feet to avoid Lin Mei. Lin Mei saw Suchinfei leading Mian into the manor, and her face instantly twisted. Why did Suchinfei treat her like this? She is just a third-rate star in the entertainment industry. When her sister takes control of the Su family, she will ask Suchinfei to lick her shoes. See how arrogant Suchinfei is. New book, Little Poor Sleeping in a Pig Pen, which is a book for those who are interested in crusading moms and fans all over the internet. You can save it. Introduction, Eating Melon and Mind Reading and Wealthy Group Favorite and Variety Show and Two-Way Redemption. After passing the Chi Shadow, Interne was sweeping the pig pen and found a poor limp pig. Ruan was abandoned by her biological parents since she was a child. She has no one to love or care for her, and she is also haunted by a little monster who calls herself Guatong. The little monster asked Ruan to pass on the pumpkin, and Ruan went to the kitchen to get a pumpkin, but the monster said he didn't want the pumpkin, so he still refused to leave. Later, Ruan was adopted by Interne, participated in a baby show and entered the entertainment industry. Interne was filming a costume drama to correct Xiaoxianrou's body shape. The top-notch Xiaoxianrou was not convinced and said Interne was nitpicking when he said he had a good body shape. Ruan asks Xiaoxianrou curiously, is it because uncle has a good figure that he can ride on 8 boats with 2 feet? Not long after, Xiaoxianrou cheated on his girlfriend, and his multifaceted operation was exposed. In the cooking competition variety show, Green Tea mocked Interne for not being as good as Green Tea's own cooking. Ruan asked Green Tea in confusion, sister, can you transform? Become the food cooked by the bearded uncle. On that day, it was exposed that Green Tea bribed the program crew and purchased food from 5-star chefs as their own business. The whole network was shocked. Ruan is a little melon king, and it's accurate to say so. Later, Interne was about to remarry the richest man. Afraid that the richest uncle would think that he was a loser, he carried a small package and prepared to sleep and beg for food to support himself. As a result, the richest uncle told her that she was the biological daughter of Interne and the richest uncle. Ruin de. Don't you have to beg for food? End of this chapter. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 2. Chapter 2 Teach the bad guys a lesson for your grandnephews and grandnephews. The Su family manor is very large, and the banquet place for guests is in a specially designed living room. At this time, the hall was full of guests and extremely lively. Suchinfei carried a dirty little girl into the room and immediately attracted the attention of the guests. Who doesn't know that Suchinfei is a who can directly teach naughty children in public places like banquets? Now that he can come back with a child in his arms, is this little girl his illegitimate daughter? After all, a few days ago, a video of Suchinfei checking into a room with a woman broke out in the entertainment industry. It was so explosive that it took a long time to be the top trending video before it was taken down. The woman who broke the news also said she was pregnant. Having caused so many troubles, he still said on Weibo that he would not quit the industry. If it were them, how could he still be an actor with such a face? Thinking this in their hearts, the guests did not dare to say it out loud, but they still smiled and greeted Suchinfei to get close to him. Oh, isn't this the 7th young master? It's been a long time since we last saw the 7th young master, and he's getting more and more handsome. Chi Xiao, last time your movie was released, I supported it with 10 tickets. Master Chi, did your daughter fall? Get out of the way. Suchinfei was never impatient in socializing. He frowned and asked the servant who came to serve him, "Where is my dad? Take me to him quickly." The servant lowered his head and said, "Seventh young master, follow me." Suchinfei hugged Mian Mian and walked away. The guests looked at each other and became more and more sure of their suspicions. They gathered together and whispered, "Suchinfei really regards himself as a person. Without the Su family, he would have been living on the street. That's right, it's just a good pregnancy. If I were him, I wouldn't dare to bring my illegitimate daughter back. It's such a shame." Listening to these people talking about her seventh grandnephew, Mian Mian's little mouth suddenly pouted. Why do these humans at the bottom of the mountain like to commit oral crimes so much? It is wrong to talk about people behind their back. Mian Mian wants to teach the bad guys a lesson for her nephews and grandchildren. She drew a few strokes in the air with her little hand, drawing the spell of export, and blew lightly with her little mouth. Several spells invisible to ordinary people flew towards those who were talking enthusiastically. The spell only works on bad guys who like to talk about people behind their backs. Not long after, the person who was discussing the matter most enthusiastically had an evil force gathering between his brows. He himself didn't know it, but when he turned around to get the wine on the table, he suddenly fell flat on his face. He stood up and found that his two front teeth had been knocked out. The pain was so painful that he held a mouthful of blood and screamed. Seeing that the villain talisman took effect so quickly, Mian Mian covered her mouth and snickered, then she leaned into Suchinfei's ear and whispered softly, "Grandnephew, my aunt will help you punish those bad guys who talk nonsense." After saying that, she looked at Suchinfei with her big eyes, her chin raised proudly. Suchinfei was so cute by the little in his arms that his heart was beating wildly, and he could immediately ignore the words aunt. The two nephews in the family are at an age that even dogs would dislike. How can there be a cute girl who speaks with a baby voice? Therefore, he didn't take Mian Mian's punishment seriously at all, and just nodded in agreement, "Then you are awesome." Mian Mian received the compliment and smiled even more happily, "Mian Mian is great." At this time, Suchinfei had already seen his father. As today's birthday boy, Mr. Su is wearing a red tang suit and is chatting with friends. "Dad, I'm back." When Mr. Su saw that it was Suchinfei, he was all smiles, "Xiao Fei is back." Suchinfei nodded and said without any politeness, "I have something to discuss with my dad." "Uncles, I will borrow my dad temporarily." After saying that, he stretched out his hand and pulled his father to the inner hall of the banquet hall. As soon as he entered the inner hall, he heard scolding, "Are you stupid, are you? You just brought your daughter home during my birthday party, do you want to make headlines for a few more days?" After finishing one sentence, the next sentence followed, "Your brother spent tens of millions in the past few days to pressurize you to search and control comments. It's better for you. As soon as you come back with this female doll, all your hard-earned money will be in vain blind." After talking about his son's unreliability, Mr. Su stared at Mian Mian. Just now he saw Suchinfei holding a little girl, but he couldn't speak in front of his old friends, so he followed Suchinfei to the inner hall. Not to mention, she is indeed a child of the old Su family. This little girl is pretty and good-looking, with her small nose and small eyes, she looks very familiar. When Mr. Su looked at Mian Mian, Mian Mian also tilted her little head and looked at her eldest nephew. The eldest nephew was obviously chubby when he was a child in the photo, why has he become so thin now? When the old man and the young man looked at each other, Suchinfei thought about his words and wanted to put Mian Mian on the ground and stand, but felt that it would be difficult to talk to Mian Mian like this, so he simply put Mian Mian on the table and let Mian Mian stand still. "What are you doing? A child will fall if he sits at such a high height." Mr. Su quickly stretched out his hand to protect Mian Mian. Mr. Su and Mrs. Su had always had children when they were young. They just wanted a caring little cotton-padded jacket. Who knew they would always be sons after birth? Urging the sons to get married and have granddaughters, the second son completed the marriage task and gave birth to 2 more grandsons. The beautiful princess room that was prepared was wasted. The younger son is still very capable, wouldn't this bring back a lovely little granddaughter? Mr. Su clapped his hands with a smile on his face and greeted lovingly, "Good boy, I am your grandpa, call me grandpa, and grandpa will give you a greeting gift." Upon hearing this, Mian Mian frowned and pursed her lips. "No, no, you are not my grandfather. I am your Aunt Mian Mian." Mr. Su was startled and kicked Suchin Fei. "Look at you. You have to join the entertainment industry before you finish reading. How will you teach your children?" Suchin Fei touched his nose and was about to speak, but Mian Mian beat him to it and spoke, "Niece, you can't hit your grandnephew. Mian Mian likes your grandnephew. Also, my eldest nephew, don't you eat well, that's why you are so thin, or you wore a belly band when you were 3 years old, so you were chubby and good looking." When Mr. Su heard that he wore a belly band when he was 3 years old, he thought of his first family photo after the founding of the People's Republic of China. At that time, his great-grandfather was still alive, and the family was very happy with 4 generations living under one roof. But at this moment, Mr. Su didn't think of the little girl as his relative. After all, it was too outrageous. So he continued to scold Suchin Fei, "Why do you tell your daughter everything? You are so old and have no integrity, and you still bring your daughter to make fun of me." Suchin Fei shouted that he was wronged. "Dad, I have no conscience, I have not messed with women. I am still a child. I met this child at the door. She held the same jade pendant as you and said she was your aunt. I will brought in." As soon as Mr. Su heard about the jade pendant, he immediately looked at Mian Mian. Mian Mian had already taken out everything, including the family tree, the letter from Daddy, and the jade pendant with the word Su engraved on it, and handed them to Mr. Su one by one. "Nephew, take a look, Mian Mian, she is really your cousin." Mr. Su first took the jade pendant and examined it carefully. When he was naughty when he was a child, he once threw a crack in his uncle's jade pendant. There is indeed a crack across the character Su on the jade pendant in his hand, and the position is exactly the same. This means that what the little girl in front of you said is true. Mr. Su couldn't help but calculate his uncle's current age. My uncle was attracted by the daughter of the head of the Zhang family of the Suanman family, and he was 20 years old when he joined the Zhang family and became their son-in-law. And he was 7 years old back then. How come my uncle is 73 years old this year? How could he have such a young daughter? Is it adopted? Then he should be adopted as a granddaughter. He is already 60 years old. It's really hard to call a little baby aunt. Mr. Su put down his jade pendant and opened the letter without looking at the genealogy. The letter is indeed my uncle's calligraphy, and he is also called by his childhood nickname, Sugaudana. After reading it word by word, Mr. Su was stunned. The letter said that disaster had struck, and all the Zhang family, including his uncle, were asleep at the moment. And the little aunt doesn't know yet, so they must keep her and take good care of her. This matter is also good for the Su family. The Su family was very prosperous and had great fortune. It has been targeted by some evil people and there will be disaster. The sister-in-law can help them survive the crisis. Similarly, the Su family also needs to help their little aunt to be liked by many people and accumulate faith points and merits, so that the little uncle's family can wake up early. Mr. Su felt a little distressed when he saw the dirty little face and the innocent big eyes. The little aunt didn't know that her direct family members were all asleep and had to do so many things to wake up. You will definitely cry when you find out, right? Even if it is not good for the Su family, he is still willing to take care of his little aunt. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. The bracelet is filled with black air. Tears appeared in Mr. Su's eyes. He put away the letter, put the baby's clothes away, stood up from the chair and straightened his clothes. After confirming that there was nothing inappropriate, the old man bowed respectfully to the little dumplings on the table. "Aunt Mian, my eldest nephew is here to greet you." Mian smiled, reached into the small cloth bag, took out 2 shimmering yellow whiskers and handed them to Mr. Su. "My nephew, be good, this is the birthday gift and meeting gift that Mian brought you." Mr. Su bent his back and stretched out his hands to receive the gift respectfully. When I touched the ginseng, I suddenly felt energetic and asked, "Auntie, what is this?" "It's Grandpa Shen's beard." He heard from Mian that he was going back to his hometown to celebrate the birthday of his 60-year-old nephew, so he specially cut it off and asked me to give it to you. After answering the eldest nephew's question, his lingering eyes fell on the eldest nephew's wrist. She noticed just now that the ball bracelet on her eldest nephew's hand was glowing black. "Eldest nephew, you can't wear this bracelet anymore." Mr. Su was very nervous and took off the string of bracelets. "Little aunt, what did you see?" "This bracelet was given to them by Lin Ro, the girlfriend of the eldest son. I heard that they had to kneel down on the steps every step of the way before the abbot of Phwa Temple personally presented the consecrated beads. Mr. Su will always wear it because he trusts his eldest son's perspective on his girlfriend." Mian said seriously, "This chain has resentment and is made of human bones. My eldest nephew has panda eyes. Doesn't he sleep well at night? It's because he is wearing this prayer beads bracelet." Mr. Su felt a chill when he heard the human bones. Does the eldest son's girlfriend know? He had already taken off the bracelet and said, "Okay, I won't wear it anymore, so your niece-in-law won't wear it either." Mian stretched out her hand and said, "Give it to me, nephew. It wouldn't be good to leave this thing with you." Mr. Su handed the string of strings to Mian. Mian put it into her small bag and put it away. Suchinfei was confused as he listened to the conversation between an old man and a young man. What grievance? Resentment can be seen in a bracelet. Why is such a young child so superstitious? Just as he was thinking about it, he was suddenly kicked in the leg socket. "Why are you so dazed? I have already paid tribute to your sister-in-law, and you still don't kneel down and kowtow to your aunt." Suchinfei was kicked so hard that his face was distorted. $, $, forget it, my father can't scold him. It is really impossible for a 20-year-old young man to kowtow to a baby and change his name to aunt. Mr. Su knew what his younger son was thinking. He put his hand on his head and forced him to kowtow. "Kowtow when I tell you to. Change your words quickly, otherwise I will take care of you." Suchinfei was being held down by his father, and when he heard his father talking about family affairs, he raised his head and turned his face away, and whispered awkwardly to Mian, "Hello, aunt, my junior Suchinfei, here to greet you." Mian doesn't care whether her grandnephews kowtow voluntarily or are forced to kowtow. She kowtowed to her mother's elders when she was a child, and now someone finally kowtows to her. "My good nephew and grandson, I'll also give you a greeting gift." The little fleshy hand took out a ginseng beard from the small bag and handed it to Suchinfei. Suchinfei raised his hands above his head to catch it, holding the ginseng whisker in his hands very casually, as if it were a weed on the roadside. Mr. Su thought of what he had just heard about Grandpa Ginseng's beard, and knew that this ginseng beard was a good thing. Seeing Suchinfei playing like this, his heart ached very much, and he slapped Suchinfei on top of his head. "You silly boy who wastes everything, give me your things, and then call the servants." After finishing speaking, he said to Mian gently, "Little aunt, you are a little dirty. I will ask the servant to take you to take a shower and change clothes, okay?" Mian nodded. She really should take a shower. Suchinfei asked at this time, "Dad, will the second brother bring the child back today?" Mr. Su knew who Suchinfei was asking, and his expression immediately changed. "Your second brother said that the child happened to be sick and couldn't go home without people." Suchinfei rubbed his nose. "If his two nephews don't come back, what will happen to his variety show? Where can I find a child? Eh, wait a minute, isn't there one in front of the child? Moreover, based on how well behaved my sister-in-law was just now, maybe it would be better to take my sister-in-law to participate in the children's competition than to take her two nephews, because those two boys are really naughty. Dad, actually I have something else I want to discuss with you," Suchinfei said with a smile. "Why don't I accept a live variety show now? It will be broadcast in a while. Can I ask my aunt to accompany me?" Mr. Su was stunned. "Variety show? What variety show?" Suchinfei explained, "This is a program that films my daily life with my children. Many people watch it. Your son, I want to make a comeback through this program." Oddly enough, Suchinfei thought he had acting talent, but apart from the first drama, he was not popular in anything he acted in, and he often encountered all kinds of bad luck. Perhaps he is not suitable for the entertainment industry. This program was specially fought for by his good brothers. If it didn't work after participating, Suchinfei planned to give up and look for other hobbies. After hearing this, Mr. Su thought that if his aunt wanted to use Suanman methods to accumulate merit, she would definitely be popular. He glanced at his little aunt who was sitting on the table swinging her feet, and nodded, "Then let's wait until the birthday banquet is over. Your aunt will not go down the mountain until she gets used to it. It's still early for the show anyway." Suchinfei felt that his father was half promising, "Then I'll call someone first." Suchinfei reappeared in the banquet hall, and soon someone came over to please him. "Qi Xiao, you were busy in there just now, but you didn't see the interesting things just now." Suchinfei put his hands in his trouser pockets and glanced at the speaker carelessly. "What's the fun? Over there, the few people who gathered to discuss your daughter collectively broke their front teeth and started bleeding profusely. They are all in the hospital now." Another young man who wanted to please Suchinfei also came over and said, "Even if you fall too badly, you don't even look at our seventh young master. Are you someone who can talk casually?" Suchinfei's heart skipped a beat after hearing this. He looked at the ground over there and saw that there were indeed servants cleaning and disinfecting. Just now when he came in with Aunt Mian Mian in his arms, he also heard someone saying that Aunt Mian Mian was his illegitimate daughter, and they also talked about rumors that he had a room with a woman at the age of 18. At that time, Aunt Mian Mian leaned into his ear and said, "Grandnephew, my aunt will help you punish those bad guys who talk nonsense." "Is this punishment? Let all those who talk nonsense lose their front teeth?" Suchinfei shuddered. "Guess what? What a coincidence. We all grew up under the dragon banner, so we don't want to engage in feudal superstition." In the bathroom of the Su family's princess room, Mian Mian sat in the bathtub and was taken care of by the maid. "I was feeling comfortable, but suddenly my nose itched and I sneezed loudly." The maid on the side wiped Mian Mian's face with a towel and nervously ordered the people next to her, "Go quickly and let Dr. Lu wait outside. My aunt sneezed and may have a cold." Mr. Su told all of them that the little girl in front of them was the eldest of the younger generation and was the aunt of the Su family. Everyone must respect her. Even Mr. Su behaves like a junior with a hunched back when speaking to his aunt. How can the servants dare to neglect him? Mian Mian rubbed her little nose. There was a large piece of white foam on her nose, and she blinked. "No need, this is because someone said something bad about Mian Mian, not a cold." Her little face was the first to be washed. She was as beautiful as a porcelain doll, with delicate foam flowers on her head. She was funny and cute. The three maids were so cute that they praised her. "My aunt is beautiful and cute, just like a little fairy from the sky. It would be great if my future children are as beautiful as my aunt. Well, I only gave birth to a brat, when can I have a daughter?" Mian glanced at the face of the maid who was speaking behind her, and said with a smile, "You are about to have a daughter, don't be anxious." After finishing speaking, he hummed an unknown song and enjoyed the comfortable hot bath. She flew directly from the mountain on a flying sword. Dad said she couldn't be seen, and she also wore an invisibility charm. The man and the sword were invisible, but she encountered a large chimney on the road. She looked at it a few more times out of curiosity, but her clothes and face were stained by the black smoke that spewed out of it. Now her eldest nephew has arranged for someone to give her a bath, and she is very happy. Since the letter was delivered anyway, Mian decided to take a bath. After delivering the greeting gifts, she would try something from the mountain and go home to find her mother immediately. End of this chapter. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 4. Chapter 4: The 300 million bracelet. Children should not take a bath for too long. When the maid holding a stopwatch saw that the time was up, she respectfully asked her to take a bath. Mian was the youngest junior in the mountains. When she came down the mountain, she suddenly became an elder. Her little vanity was instantly satisfied, and the smile on her face never dropped. The maid gently wiped the water off Mian's body, wrapped her body and little head in soft bath towels, and walked out of the bathroom with Mian in her arms. As soon as she walked out of the bathroom, Mian heard someone greeting her again. "Sister-in-law, my nephew-in-law is here to give you a gift." The person who saluted was Mrs. Su. She had been doing makeup in the room just now. She wore a golden pearl hairpin on her curly short hair. She had very few wrinkles on her face. Her whole person looked graceful and luxurious, and her beauty was passing by. Mian looked at her, her eyes lit up, and she boasted in a sweet voice, "My nephew-in-law is so beautiful, even better than my nephew." After saying this, my little hand habitually reached into the small bag to take out the greeting gift, but came up empty. She looked at the small bag placed next to her with big eyes. Before she could speak, a servant handed the bag over with both hands. "Auntie, please." Mian opened her bag and took out a small square box. After opening it, she handed the bracelet inside to Mrs. Su. Mrs. Su could not hold back the joy in her eyes, but it was not because of the bracelet, but because the small carved-in eyes in front of her were so cute. Even if she is a little older, she is still a delicate and soft little girl, different from the two naughty grandsons who are so angry that she has high blood pressure. "Want to hug?" Mian saw that Mrs. Su didn't accept the bracelet, so she flatly said, "My nephew-in-law, don't you like Mian's gift? Mian has chosen this for a long time. She wears the bracelet to sleep, so she can sleep soundly every night." After saying that, he reached into the small bag again, trying to take out the ginseng whiskers. After all, my eldest nephew liked the ginseng whiskers very much when he saw them, so my niece-in-law should also like it, right? Before Mian could touch the box of ginseng and whiskers, old lady Su carefully apologized, I like you." "Aunt Mian, don't be angry. My nephew-in-law just sees you so cute and is fascinated by it. It's not that she doesn't like you gift." Speaking, he looked at the green bracelet. At this sight, Mrs. Su was stunned. That turned out to be a glass imperial green jade bracelet. At a recent charity auction, a small bean-sized pendant of the same quality was bought by a wealthy businessman in Hong Kong for 300 million. The reason why such a sky-high price can be achieved is not only that no one wants to be underestimated at the auction, but also because this kind of jadeite is rare to find in 1,000 years. Mrs. Su was also tempted at the time, thinking of a small hanging ornament. In modern society, there was no place to hang it on clothes, so she gave up. I didn't expect that now, the old man's baby cousin would directly give her such a jade in a big way. Mrs. thought of what her old man said, that their little cousin still didn't know the news that her parents had decided to let her stay in this world, and she said with heartache, "Aunt Mian, this jade bracelet is so valuable, you keep it." Before Madame Su finished speaking, Mian put the jade bracelet directly on her hand. "I'll give it to you if you like it. Mian has many more at home." Mrs. was so shocked by Xiao Naichuan's inadvertent show of wealth that she had no choice but to catch the jade bracelet because she was afraid it would fall to the ground. My aunt is still young, so she keeps the jade bracelet first and puts it in the safe so that she can make it as a dowry for her in the future. Mian smiled happily when she saw her niece-in-law taking the bracelet and putting it on. She picked up the strap of the small bag, and moved forward with her little head wrapped in a small bath towel, wanting to put the small bag on her back. When the servant saw it, he gently reminded, "Auntie, this backpack hasn't been washed yet, so don't carry it yet." Mian blinked, but Mian is used to carrying small bags. Mrs. stretched out her hand at this time. "Auntie, can you let your niece-in-law hold you?" Mian nodded, loosened his strap, and stretched out his little hand towards Mrs. Mrs. gently held Mian in her arms and smiled, her eyes widening. After taking a bath, the milk dumplings smelled delicious all over my body, and I felt happy just holding them. She motioned to the servant to follow her with her bag, and walked to the cloakroom of the princess room. The other servant quickly opened the cloakroom door. In a space of 100 square meters, there are many little girls' clothes hanging, and each piece has the color that a child's clothes should have. These dresses were all limited editions that Mrs. carefully selected and bought when she was choosing clothes for her two grandsons this year, dreaming of dressing up her little granddaughter. The little granddaughter hasn't arrived yet, but a little aunt with has arrived, and she happens to have some beautiful little skirts for a 3-year-old figure. Mian chose a sky blue tutu skirt among many beautiful clothes. The main thing is that the skirt is also paired with a white bunny crossbody bag. After putting on her clothes, she stood in front of the mirror and spun around several times. She was so happy. Her mother likes to make her that kind of antique dress. This is the first time she wears this style of skirt, and she feels really as beautiful as a little fairy. After turning around in a circle, Mian turned to look at Mrs. her big eyes blinking in anticipation. Mrs. pursed her lips and smiled, "Well, our Aunt Mian is so discerning. This dress is so beautiful." As soon as I finished speaking, a servant outside reminded me, "Old madam, the master said that the banquet is about to start." Mian's little eyes lit up when she heard about the banquet. Mom and Dad said the banquet with lots of delicious food is finally about to begin. After eating, she can go home. She looked at herself in the mirror with her hair hanging down and touched her hair. "My nephew-in-law, can you braid Mian's hair?" Mrs. walked over with a smile and braided Mian's long princess hair. Mian was even happier. She put everything in the cloth bag into the little rabbit satchel and happily followed Mrs. to the banquet hall. In order to make it easier for the host to announce things and hold events, the Su family's banquet hall was specially designed with 2 floors, with a platform much higher than the first floor. At this time, Mian was held by Mrs. and stood on the platform. "Aunt Mian, the tallest one over there is your eldest grandnephew Suchinjin. He has been fond of money since he was a child, so he is now taking care of the Su family's business." Mrs. hugged Mian and happily gave her to her. Introduce. The description: the highest is so easy to find. Mian saw Suchinjin at a glance. 2 floors away, the details on his face couldn't be seen clearly, but all in all, he had an excellent appearance. She wanted to call her great-nephew, but was afraid that the sound would be too loud and unbecoming of a lady, so she asked her niece-in-law, "When will the great-nephew come up?" Mrs. explained, "I'll be here soon. The old man said that when your 4 grandnephews get home, let them give you a gift together." Mian thought about it and thought it was the same. Just let them sit in a row and give hair to each other together, and there would be no need to touch the small bag so many times. However, the Su family's house is so big, why do they still have to go home from outside? Why don't your nephews and grandchildren live with you? Mian asked this question. Mrs. Su listened to her aunt's innocent words and sighed, they are too busy at work, so they don't go home often. The second brother is a painter and originally lived at home. A few days ago, the twin grandson suddenly made a noise and said that there was something wrong at home. Damn it, you have to move out. No, you won't come back after you move out. Mian listened with a serious face, then Mian will help you to see if Mian can fight ghosts. After speaking, he waved his fist. Just when she was thinking about going back to the mountain after catching the ghost, 5 tall and handsome men with different looks walked in from the door. Mr. Su, who had been waiting for a long time, smiled slightly. It was time for these brats to recognize their aunt. End of this chapter. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 5. Chapter 5, Kowtow when meeting elders. Mian was also very excited when she saw her nieces and nephews, but she did not forget her mother's teachings to be a lovely little lady, so she covered her mouth to block her little white teeth and smiled secretly. Smiling, seeing his 7th nephew Suchinfei waving, he also raised his little hand in response. The lively interaction between one large and one small fell into the eyes of Suchinfei's 5 brothers. They had been paying attention to the younger brother and knew about the negative news about the younger brother a few days ago. They all unanimously affirmed, the younger brother really has an illegitimate daughter. The brothers of the Su family, who thought they had mastered the truth, rebuked Suchinfei one after another. You said you were rebellious when you were 17 years old, how could you really create an illegitimate daughter? Where does this leave the family's face? That's right, it doesn't make anyone worry at all, just wait for your elder brother to teach you a lesson. Suchinfei was not sad at all after being verbally educated by his brothers. Instead, he still raised one corner of his mouth and walked up to his eldest brother Suchinjin nonchalantly. Brother, when did you arrive? Dad asked me to meet you at the door. Why didn't I see you? Suchinjin's handsome face was expressionless. She stared at the incompetent 7th brother and said sternly, bringing an illegitimate daughter back on such an occasion? You have grown up? I will settle the score with you after the banquet. Suchinfei touched his nose. To be honest, he is really a little afraid of his eldest brother Suchinjin. But whenever he thought that his eldest brother also misunderstood his relationship with Aunt Mian, Suchinfei wanted to laugh. No, not only the eldest brother, but several others also misunderstood. This is exciting. Suchinfei became excited. The brothers all thought that they were unrivaled in their favorite fields, and they looked down upon his younger brother who had been in the entertainment industry for 4 years and had not achieved anything famous. He would be slapped in the face when he found out the identity of Aunt Mian later. Kneel down? That mood must be much more complicated than what he knew from the beginning. Ha ha ha. Suchinfei waited to see his brothers change their faces. He put on a reprimanded and depressed expression on his face and said, I saw her at the door and asked me to take her home. She is so cute, I can't refuse. Here, several brothers were talking, and in the corner of the banquet, 2 sisters, Lin Mei and Lin Ro, were also chatting. Ro, you must help me teach Suchinfei and his illegitimate daughter a lesson. Lin Mei handed her son's hand to Lin Ro. Look at my son, beaten like this by that illegitimate daughter. Lin Ro heard her sister say this, and annoyance came to her heart. Sister, can you not say this here? There are people everywhere. If you say this to the Su family, is there really nothing wrong with her sister's mind? Seeing that Lin Ro was so timid, Lin Mei mocked, I have always thought that your master has poor vision. It would be great if he accepted me as his apprentice. If I were you, I would have been pregnant with Suchinjin's child and married Suchinjin. Where? It takes so much trouble. Lin Ro knew that Lin Mei was jealous of her, and regretted that Lin Mei heard her last phone call with her master. At the same time, she was also a little angry. After all, her talent in metaphysics is indeed not high. She has not even opened her yin and yang eyes and cannot see ghosts at all. But Lin Ro would not tell Lin Mei about this. She sneered and said, with the help of master, Chen Jin really fell in love with me and respected me. He is an extremely good man and does not want to touch me before marriage. Do you think you are the same as your scumbag ex-husband who got you pregnant out of wedlock? Lin Mei was also angry after being stabbed by Lin Ro. What's serious? Didn't you put a curse on him? It made me laugh to death. Lin Ro really didn't want to discuss this here, so she could only say, okay, after the engagement is announced later, I will take it out on you. She glanced at Suchinjin who was not far away. This is the man she fell in love with at first sight. What happened to getting it through some tricks? No one else has a chance. After being obsessed with Suchinjin's appearance and figure for a moment, Lin Ro warned her sister, Sister, don't go around making blind noises. If others find out, it will not be good for you or me. After warning Lin Mei, Lin Ro returned to Suchinjin. Just as she was about to act coquettishly at Suchinjin, Mr. Su's voice echoed throughout the banquet hall. Thank you all for coming to celebrate the old man's birthday before the banquet. The old man has something big to announce, brats, come over here. Hearing Mr. Su's words, Lin Ro raised a gentle smile and prepared to accept the eyes of the guests. She will be engaged to Suchinjin soon, and if nothing else happens, she will get married in 2 months. All the women present must be extremely envious. My wife is holding the hand, she is from our family. As Mr. Su continued to speak, Lin Ro frowned. What happened? Why didn't she announce her engagement to Suchinjin immediately? Lin Mei also realized something was wrong and interrupted angrily, Mr. Su, today is your birthday. We should announce something festive, but don't announce anything that will embarrass the Su family. Mr. Su was interrupted and looked at Lin Mei displeased. Who are you? Lin Mei raised a smile. Mr. Su, I am Lin Mei, the sister of your son's girlfriend. After introducing herself, she pointed at Mian Mian in Mrs. Su's arms and said loudly, this child may have some problems here. He just hit my child at the door and his hands were swollen. Everyone here knows the news about the 7th young master. We all know the origin of this girl. No matter how much you and Mrs. Su like girls, you should not speak out about it. As relatives of the Su family, I feel ashamed. Mr. Su listened to Lin Mei's random speculation about his sister-in-law's identity, and the gentle expression on his face disappeared. Ms. Lin, it is not for outsiders to dictate the affairs of our Su family. The guests on the side all showed mocking expressions. Lin Ro and Suchinjin are not married yet, and this Lin Mei is jumping around so impolitely. It's really funny. Lin Mei received the mocking looks from everyone, and her face turned red and white. I am doing this for the good of the Su family. I am just an illegitimate daughter. How much will it affect the reputation of the Su family? Mr. Su said angrily, who told you that she is Lao Chi's illegitimate daughter? She is my aunt Su Mian Mian, Lao Chi's aunt. The whole place was in an uproar. Aunt? Just such a little breast dumpling, turned out to be Mr. Su's aunt? Mr. Su, aren't you kidding? Suddenly, everyone's eyes were focused on Mian Mian. The little girl with the delicate face was being held by Mrs. Su. The blue skirt on her body was dotted with stars, which made the girl's little face look even more delicate and cute. I heard that you called my aunt a little beggar at the door, and you allowed your son to push my aunt. Mr. Su stared at Lin Mei coldly. You even interrupted me just now. Such an rude guest, are Su not welcome at home? The bodyguard appeared out of nowhere and pulled Lin Mei and her son out of the door. When Lin Ro saw her, she immediately begged Suchinjin, Chinjin, My sister also doesn't know the identity of my sister-in-law. Those who don't know are not guilty. Please help me persuade your father. She originally thought that Suchinjin would agree, but Suchinjin said, Rura, it was your sister who was rude first, so you might as well let her leave. Lin Ro was very dissatisfied with this answer, but she didn't want to embarrass herself again in public, so she ignored Lin Mei's request for help. After dealing with those who were disrespectful to my aunt, Mr. Su continued, our Su family is a polite family. We have to kowtow when we meet our elders. Why don't you come up quickly and kowtow to my aunt? At this time, Suchinfei stood beside Mr. Su in a sullen manner, coughed twice and said to his brothers standing below, Dad already told me that she is an aunt, why don't you kneel down to greet me? Aunt-in-law, I've been waiting impatiently. Mian just found a chance to speak now. Her round eyes were full of expectation. Yes, Mian is a little anxious to wait. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. The eyes of heaven are opened. Seeing that neither father nor brother were joking, the Su brothers looked at each other and walked towards the second floor. The servant brought a master's chair at this time. Mian sat on the Taishi chair, with her back straight and her round eyes falling on the nephews and grandsons who came up in turn. She was quite happy at first, but when she saw her grandnephew Suchinjin's face up close, she couldn't help but frown. The grandnephew's face looks wrong, and there is something wrong with his fate line. Mian put her little hand against her forehead and whispered, Open your heavenly eyes. This is the ability her mother taught her. As long as she opens the third spiritual eye on her forehead, she can see things clearly that cannot be seen clearly with both eyes. Sure enough, as soon as her eyes opened, Mian could clearly see that there was a black line on Suchinjin's body, extending to a woman in the audience. Strangely, this black thread connects the marriage of the two people. Mian looked at her eldest nephew and niece-in-law, and there was a red line between them. That was Yu Lao's marriage line. It was red and obvious, without any bad smell. Great nephew, come here for a moment. Suchinjin didn't expect that she would be summoned first by her sister-in-law. He walked to his little aunt with long legs, took the initiative to kneel down, and kowtowed first, Hello, aunt, I would like to greet you from my junior Suchinjin. Mian took the opportunity to touch Suchinjin's head and whispered, My grandnephew, be good, don't be afraid. Suchinjin, what are you afraid of? The next second, I saw my aunt take out a mini wooden sword from her bag. Others on and off the stage were also confused. Why was this aunt of the Su family who was the elder in the family still playing with toys during the family recognition ceremony? Amid everyone's confused gazes, Mian reached out and took the black marriage thread in her hand, pulled it in front of her and cut it with the wooden sword in her hand. In the eyes of the guests, this kind of behavior is just a child playing with a wooden sword naughtily. After all, who would have thought that a 3-year-old girl could have the ability to ward off evil spirits? Lin Ro too, she just thought it was just a child being naughty. After confirming that the black thread had been broken, Mian stretched out her little hand and touched Suchinjin's head. My great nephew, Mian will help you get rid of the bad things. Then he handed one of the ginseng whiskers to Suchinjin. Suchinjin knelt on the ground, frowning. When the Daomu sword was swung down, he felt that his body suddenly felt much lighter. Now, I am having a headache due to the strange memories in my mind. What happened? Why would he let Lin Ro be his girlfriend? After all, Suchinjin is the current person in charge of the Su family group. Even if he felt that something was wrong, he did not make a fuss. He quickly adjusted his mentality. Thank you, aunt, for the gift. Then he walked to Su Chenfei and Mr. Su, and quickly glanced at Lin Ro without leaving any trace. The other brothers saw that their eldest brother had finished kowtowing, and they knelt down in front of Mian. "Hello, Grandma, I will kowtow to you." Mian originally wanted to tell her eldest grandnephew what was wrong with him, but the 3-year-old's attention span was limited. When she saw the other grandnephews kneeling to her, she immediately forgot about the black line. She smiled and handed out the extra ginseng whiskers. "Grandsons, be good and give them to you as a greeting gift." These grown men who finished kowtowing were stunned for a moment. They did not expect to receive gifts from their aunt. But the gift from the elders was unavoidable. They stepped forward respectfully and received a piece of grass from their little aunt's fleshy little hands. "Thank you, Auntie." Mr. Su on the side didn't care what his sons were thinking. He was already prepared. He took the whiskers from his son's hands one by one and collected them into a brocade box. "Give this to me to help you keep. It's like celebrating the New Year when I was a child, and my parents helped collect the New Year's money." Thus, the boys from the Su family had nothing in their hands before they had finished studying the gifts from their aunt. "I've made you laugh. My aunt is a junior. If I don't clear her name, I'm afraid some short-sighted people will still bully her." Mr. Su finished gathering the ginseng beard and waved his hand. "The time is coming soon, thank you. You all are here to attend the old man's birthday party. Let's have a party. The banquet of the richest man, the Su family, is just that good. You can eat as much as you want. I won't put everyone's gifts in front of me, making everyone feel uncomfortable." So a group of people who were good friends with the Su family congratulated Mr. Su on his double happiness. There is no one who is not discerning enough to ask where Mian comes from. Since the banquet has begun, it is natural to arrange the seats according to seniority. Mian was the oldest, and she was the only one present, so her seat was arranged among a group of grandfathers and grandmothers, and she took the main seat. But the main seat is a bit weird. Why is it still stuck in the chair? Mian, the little country bumpkin who just came down the mountain, how did he know that he was sitting in a children's chair? He only twisted his buttocks, feeling very uncomfortable. She was surrounded by old men and women who were of the same generation as Mr. Su. They smiled without teeth or eyes. They followed Mr. Su and called them aunt. Mian was very polite. He waved with his little hands and nodded his head. He responded in a particularly elder-like manner, "Okay, be good, be good." Then I habitually wait for someone to tell me that dinner is ready. While waiting, no one moved their chopsticks, everyone just stared at her. Mian then remembered that the oldest person should use the chopsticks first, and then the others can start eating. Who is the oldest person at the table now? Of course it's Mian. Thinking of this, she reached out to the red chopsticks on the table and picked up the dish closest to her. She stretched out her little hands and imitated the elders in the family. "Use them all, use them all." Mrs. Su pursed her lips and smiled. She was almost made cute by the senior little baby sitting in the children's chair. As soon as you hear this voice that deliberately imitates an adult, you know that my little aunt plays house a lot at home. She glanced at the maid next to her. The maid understood, took the serving chopsticks and began to help Mian serve the dishes. Mian was very hungry. Although she wanted to do it herself, the elder's chair at the foot of the mountain was stuck tightly to her little body, making it difficult to reach out. So he could only accept feeding from the maid, one bite after another. Mrs. Su was worried about Mian, so she also helped pick up the vegetables. Other guests also felt strange, and no one moved their chopsticks for a while. Given their seniority, there are no children at the table. There is a dumpling with Small on the table now. Not to mention, the dumpling with Small looks so cute while doing the cooking. That little face is bulging, like a little hamster. Mian followed the local customs and stretched out her little hand. "I want that, thank you. I want this, yes, thank you." I still want to eat that. During this period, I did not forget to greet the juniors. You all eat, don't look at me and that, this, are all delicious. While eating happily, Linro pulled Suchinjin aside and asked aggrievedly, Chinjin, are uncle and aunt dissatisfied with me? Why didn't you say anything about the engagement? Suchinjin stared deeply at Linro and said in a gentle tone, Rura, wait a minute. After the banquet, I will ask my father if he has any other arrangements. Linro frowned. She had already shown off to a group of sisters about her engagement today. Suchinjin is the leader of the Su family. It can be said that all the wealth of the Su family belongs to Suchinjin alone. She can be engaged to Suchinjin, which makes a bunch of little sisters envious and jealous. Now that the engagement has failed, wouldn't she become a joke in her social circle? It's not just the social circle, now the guests are actually laughing at her. Not far away, several women looked at her frequently with mocking expressions on their faces. Linro lowered her eyes, covering up the gloom in her eyes, and asked Suchinjin sadly, Chinjin, can't we really get engaged today? Suchinjin was silent for a long time, and then comforted her gently, Rura, I want to give you the most perfect wedding. And this requires the blessing of my parents. You just need to wait, and I will solve it, but not now. When the handsome man said this, his magnetic voice had an undeniable flavor. Linro almost broke her back molar. She had a premonition that if she didn't get engaged today, there would be endless troubles. She touched the red jade bracelet in her hand bitterly, thinking silently, Chenjin, you forced me to do this. End of this chapter. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 7. Chapter 7 Can't let my little aunt go back. 5 minutes later, the lights inside the banquet hall suddenly went out, and only the light was turned on the high platform in the center. Suchinjin's voice was heard, Dear guests, I have something important to announce today. Everyone looked over with surprise on their faces. That turned out to be Suchinjin and his girlfriend Linro. The guests were originally confused. Today they had agreed to announce the engagement of Suchinjin and Linro, but Mr. Su didn't even mention it. Now that I saw Suchinjin walking on the stage, I realized that it was because Suchinjin wanted to tell the audience in person. When Mr. Su saw this scene, he immediately frowned, What are you doing, boss? As soon as Mr. Su finished speaking, Mian turned around to see his great-nephew. Looking at it, I was shocked. Then where is the great-nephew? It is clear that a ghost has entered the body of the great-nephew. This will cause harm to the body of the great-nephew. Thinking of this, Mian jumped down from the child's chair. When everyone was paying attention to the stage, she ran onto the stage with her short legs. The scene was originally dark, and everyone's attention was on Suchinjin and Linro, not Mian at all. When Mian and Suchinjin stood in the circle of light together, everyone noticed her. At this time, Suchinjin was taking out the ring box from the inner pocket of his suit, watching Linro kneeling on one knee, not caring about the small next to her. Linro didn't care either. In her opinion, it was just a naughty child who wanted to play. Her whole body and mind were focused on the man in front of her, and her face was filled with happiness. Suchinjin, the best man in the Dragon Kingdom, is now prostrating himself under her pomegranate skirt and begging to be her man. If the Su family hadn't been too tightly guarded and the paparazzi couldn't come in, this scene would have been on the headlines of major news platforms for at least a month. Although Suchinjin is not really kneeling now, what does it matter? Among the mortals present, who could know that Suchinjin was controlled by a ghost? From now on, she, Linro, will be the eldest young lady of the Su family, and all the women in the world will be trampled under her feet. So, come on, say that. Linro looked shy and timid, but her heart was extremely anxious. She stared at Suchinjin's perfectly shaped thin lips, wishing she could speak on his behalf. Rura. Suchinjin opened her thin lips lightly, and just after calling Linro's name, the expression on her face suddenly became stiff. Linro also noticed that something was wrong with Suchinjin. She frowned and her eyes fell on the little girl at Suchinjin's feet. The little girl in a blue tutu stood there with a serious face, her white little hands seemed to be holding something. Could this child be able to touch ghosts? Linro muttered in panic, "Come back, come back." She stared at the red jade bracelet on her hand, but it didn't react at all. This suddenly gave Linro a bad premonition. In panic, she subconsciously reached out to Mian Mian, trying to push Mian Mian aside. But just as she pushed her hand towards Mian Mian, her hand was held by someone. "Linro, you actually want to push our aunt?" Suchinfei squeezed Linro's hand tightly and said in a disgusted tone, "Are you looking for death? The Su family has nothing but to protect their shortcomings." Not only Suchinfei was there, but other brothers of the Su family were also surrounding Linro. Being surrounded by such disgusted people, Linro panicked, "What are you talking about? I just want to bring her here, not. With so many people watching, you still want to quibble? There are surveillance cameras in the banquet hall. Do you want me to show it to you now?" Suchinfei was not polite at all. Linro's face turned pale in an instant. She cast her hopeful eyes on Suchinjin, but there was still a glimmer of hope in her heart. What if the Su Mian Mian is just a naughty child? But reality slapped Linro hard. As the long short legs stepped back, Suchinjin's eyes gradually became sober. He looked at Linro with disgust, as if looking at the dregs on the ground. At this moment, Linro knew it was over, everything was over. Unable to bear the blow of her dream being shattered, she rolled her eyes and fainted. Mian Mian was very happy when he pulled out the evil spirit from his great-nephew's body. This is the first time she has seen a real ghost. When I was studying in the mountains, I saw fake ghosts through the illusions set by my mother. Because he was so happy, Mian Mian raised his little head and looked at the ghost in his hand that was full of black energy, and asked curiously, "Why did you run into my great-nephew's body?" The evil ghost was grabbed by the chubby hands and did not dare to move at all. Originally, things like ghosts are nihilistic and cannot be touched or seen by ordinary people. Evil ghosts do have the ability to appear in front of ordinary people, but once it reaches that level, it means that it wants to kill people. There are even fewer ghosts who can encounter them. They are generally beyond the realms of yin and yang, and have developed in the direction of the yin and yang of the priests. But even if it's an underhanded attempt to catch a ghost, you still have to use a soul-catching chain. "Who is this kid?" The evil ghost was a little timid and said, This woman asked me to enter his body, little god, please forgive me, I was forced to do these things. This woman also has a master, and her master gave me to she is specially used to do bad things. The bracelet in her hand is the magic weapon that can control me. I am a good ghost and have never killed anyone. I have confessed everything. Please forgive me, little god. Please spare my life. Evil spirits keep begging for mercy. Mian Mian frowned, glanced at Linro, and then looked at the red jade bracelet on Linro's hand. Little fairy, can you please let go, your grip hurts me too much. Oops, it really hurts. The evil ghost saw the hesitation on Mian Mian's face, rolled his eyes, and continued to act aggrieved. Mian Mian looked at Gui Gui in her hand, who looked like he was about to cry, and felt that Gui Gui was a little pitiful. If what Gui Gui said is true, then the bad guys are master and this woman, and she should not hurt Gui Gui. Just when Mian Mian was about to let go of her hand, the voice of her grandnephew came to her ears, "Auntie, don't let him go." Mian Mian looked at Suchinjin in confusion and asked, "Grandnephew, can you see ghosts?" Suchinjin looked at the little breast that had saved her once again, with gentle eyes, "I couldn't see it before, but now I can see it." "Grandma, can you lock him up?" "No, don't lock me up." Seeing that Mian wanted to listen to Suchinjin, the evil ghost quickly continued to beg for mercy. Mian thought about what her mother said before going down the mountain, that she should listen to her grandnephew's family. She nodded softly and said, "Okay, I'll listen to my grandnephew and lock up the ghosts." Mian smiled sweetly at Suchinjin, and without giving the evil ghost a chance to continue talking, she kneaded the evil ghost into a ball like dough. Evil spirits need to be placed in a container. Mian thought for a while, took out the bracelet of Buddhist beads from the small bag, stuffed the evil ghost inside, and trapped the evil spirit inside with the charm. Suchinjin watched the whole process of the evil ghost in Mian Tuanba. She felt that she had regained her strength and stood up to face the guests. "I'm sorry for making everyone laugh. My aunt is young and just looking here for fun and standing next to me." Linro felt disturbed and wanted to push her. "This is something I didn't expect. Suchinjin, have poor taste. Linro's character is not suitable for me to be my wife. I am wasting everyone's time. Please continue to eat." Linro, who fainted, didn't know that she had been sentenced to death by Suchinjin. All the guests present saw Linro reaching out towards Mian, and naturally no one spoke for Linro. As for the sister-in-law of the Su family, who was next to Suchinjin, she was too small to see her movements clearly, so the guests just regarded her as a naughty child. The bodyguards of the Su family sent Linro outside the Su family manor. Lin Mei, who had been waiting for a long time, was extremely surprised when she saw Linro being sent out unconscious. "What's going on? What's wrong with my sister? Where is Suchinjin?" The bodyguard just snorted coldly and did not answer Lin Mei's question. After a while, the banquet was over. The venue was cleaned by the servants. The Su family left the banquet hall and sat on the sofa in the living room of the villa. Looking at the guests leaving and catching Gigi, Mian said obediently and politely, "My eldest nephew, Mian has completed Dad's mission and is going back now." After Mian said this, Mr. Su's expression suddenly changed. "The letter said that my aunt cannot be allowed to go back." End of this chapter. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 8. Chapter 8. Crying like a bunny. Mr. Su coughed twice. "Little aunt, didn't you promise to help your two great nephews catch ghosts?" he said while winking at Mrs. Su and her sons. The 6 brothers didn't know the details of the letter. Seeing Mr. Su like this, they naturally followed suit. "Yes, Grandma, those 2 brats were so frightened that they cried and didn't even come back from the banquet today. If you go back, they will not dare to go home again." Mian tilted her head, "Then I'll see where the ghost is now, and then I'll go home after catching him." As she spoke, she got up from the sofa and took out a mini disc from her bag. There was only a small wooden plate as big as her own palm, like a small toy, with a pointer on it. When everyone in the Su family saw this, they had no choice but to follow Mian. Suchinfei just heard Mian and his eldest brother talking about something he didn't understand. Now that he had the chance, he approached Suchinjin and asked. Since his family had nothing to hide, Suchinjin whispered what he knew. First, he was in love with Linro, and Linro used some supernatural means on him. Secondly, there is a master behind Linro who gave Linro a ghost. Just now he wanted to propose marriage but was possessed by the ghost. Third, it might be because he was possessed by a ghost. He just saw what a ghost looked like. Fourth, the little ant solved the tricks Linro used on him, and also suppressed the ghosts and put them into the Buddhist beads. After Suchinjin finished speaking, Mr. Su also told the contents of the letter. Suchinfei, who has always believed in science, was dumbfounded. If his brother is not crazy, is there really a ghost in this world? And the little ant holding a small disc in front and with small arms and legs, is she an expert who can roll ghost into and stuff them into a bracelet of Buddhist beads? Suchinfei thought again of those people in the banquet hall who had lost their front teeth and had unclean mouths. For a moment, the figure with the small in front grew strangely taller. Mian didn't know that she was being worshipped by her seventh grandnephew. She walked around several rooms with a small compass, but there was no movement on the compass, and she couldn't help but yawn greatly. So tired. The little breast dumpling's short legs slowed down, and the speed of his little head also slowed down little by little. Mrsu was the first to notice something was wrong. She walked 2 steps quickly, knelt down, and hugged Mian. With support behind her, Mian looked back and saw the gentle niece-in-law she had just met. She curled her lips and wanted to smile, but was unable to resist the call of sleepy heads, so she closed her eyes and fell into sleep. Mrsu caught the small disc that Mian couldn't hold, put it into Mian's small bag, then turned around and shushed, signaling for the family to be quiet. The bed in the bedroom was made of the softest baby fabrics. Lying in the middle, her little face turned red in a short while, so cute. Well, it's not a problem to hide it, Mrsu sighed with emotion. The whole family was silent. Hiding something is not a problem, and speaking out is not a problem either. The letter said that my sister-in-law came here alone. If she knew, who knew what mysterious means she would use to get back? When everyone in the Su family felt a headache, they suddenly heard the bed making milky sounds and shouting, "Mom, Daddy! Mommy, Daddy, wake up!" This made them all startled and they hurried to the bed. However, he saw Xiao Nachuanzi frowning and closing his eyes tightly. It was obvious that he had not woken up yet. Is this a dream? Did you still dream about your parents sleeping? This is how to do? Mian was indeed dreaming. In her dream, she returned to the mountain. Daddy's mother and other relatives were all sleeping in their respective rooms. No matter how she shouted, pushed, or naughtily covered their noses and mouths, they didn't wake up. Papa, Mother, the call was not answered. Mian's nose was sore, and big tears poured out. Papa, Mother, don't sleep, Mian is back. The more she cried, the smaller her began to twitch, and her tearful eyes suddenly thought of the family's treasure. That is the sacred monument of the Zhang family. Her mother told her that when the Zhang family encounters difficulties that cannot be solved, they will turn to the sacred monument for help. Thinking of this, Mian wiped her tears with her little hands and ran towards the monument. Because he was running too fast, he tripped over a stone on the roadside and fell. Ignoring her sore knees, she stretched out her little hands to hold the sacred tablet in front of her, and silently prayed for her as her mother told her. The monument suddenly glowed, and a young couple appeared beside the monument, their eyes full of heartache for Mian. Good boy, don't cry. Daddy's little Mianbeo, don't cry. With tears in her eyes, she couldn't see clearly what her parents looked like, and she just wanted to throw herself at them. Daddy, Mom, why have you become souls? She hugged her father enough, and went to hug her mother again, because she couldn't wake her up just now. Relatives, so the dark eyes were full of panic. The couple looked at each other and saw worry in each other's eyes. This is a disaster brought by heaven. The land of China has entered the age of ending Dharma for many years, and all the gods and Buddhas have responded to the calamity, either falling into deep sleep or descending to earth to reincarnate. The Zhang family's monument predicted a month ago that there would be a catastrophe in the Dragon Kingdom, and the only breakthrough was their daughter Mian. Mian, Mom and Dad are just in trouble, Mian's mother said softly. There is a small bottle here. Mian just needs to use the skills you have learned to be liked by many people, do more good deeds, and fill the bottle, Mom and Dad. You can come back. Mian's father nodded. Yes, Mian, my dear, your parents are waiting inside the monument for you to wake up. In fact, the space in the pure bottle is endless, and Mian doesn't know how long it will take to complete this task. The child they had been praying for more than 50 years was only a little over 3 years old, and the burden was already so heavy. Tears also kept flowing from the corners of the eyes of the couple, but the adults cried quietly. The disaster will not happen if they don't want it. They guard their daughter until the last day and fall asleep in response to the disaster. This is the limit of what they can do. Just like now, they use their souls to meet their daughter's soul once, and use their words to tell her daughter about it. This is also a limited time opportunity to pray for the monument. And now, the time is almost up. The couple chattered, Mian must be obedient at the eldest nephew's house and don't be too willful. The mountain will be temporarily closed, and you don't have to come back to see your parents. Do you understand? It doesn't matter if mom and dad are asleep. Mian Bayo, don't think about it all the time. You must be happy. With the gentle instructions in her ears, Mian shook her head and cried, no, don't be happy, I want mom and dad to wake up. Don't be obedient, just listen to your parents. But her shouting failed to save her parents, and she was left with the cold bottle in her little hands. Mian cried and woke up from her sleep. She lay there blankly for a while, the corners of her eyes still red from crying for a long time. That was a dream, right? She had had nightmares before, and her parents told her not to believe the things in her dreams. As long as you go home, you can definitely see mommy daddy. Mian clenched her fists and carefully twisted her body to the bedside. A white porcelain bottle was squeezed out of the quilt. The porcelain bottle was exactly the same as the one in the dream. Just now, I comforted myself that as soon as I got home, I would see my mother's little breasts, sitting on the edge of the bed, staring blankly at the porcelain bottle. When I reacted, tears started to fall again. Mrsu was sleeping deeply. The old man had nightmares for several days while wearing the Buddhist beads bracelet, and he was not in good spirits. Now I have the bonus of the jade bracelet given by Mian. I originally wanted to take care of Mian, but I fell asleep unknowingly. However, subconsciously, Mrsu still remembered that there was a small breast that needed to be taken care of on the bed. She reached out and touched it, but it was empty, and then she woke up. The room was already dimly lit, and a small figure in pajamas sat motionless by the bed. Mrsu secretly blamed herself for falling asleep and cautiously walked to Mian's side. At first glance, Xianuichuan's big eyes were red, like a little rabbit. Mrsu felt even more distressed. Little Aunt Mian, don't cry, don't cry. Mian still just shed tears silently. Mrsu didn't dare to take the initiative to mention Mian's parents, so she silently took Mian's position. If she were a little ant, she would really feel that she was the most pitiful child in the world. So Mrsu hugged the little breast dumpling and started to shed tears. Thank you book friend 202203231109037115 for your reward. Thank you Xiaopiyu, book friend 201908312015496656. Zai's waste is not a waste. Book friend 202103017651779412 for your recommendation vote. Thank you. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 9. Chapter 9 Mian is going to Wazong. Mr. Su knocked on the door and entered the house. What he saw was his old woman and his little aunt hugging each other and crying. He wanted to coax people, but he could only say don't cry, coming and going. Similarly, he did not dare to mention the matter of Mian's parents. Mr. Su was so anxious that he scratched his head and hurriedly called up the brats who had rested at home last night to think of a solution. The 6 brothers of the Su family all slept late last night because of the subversion of their worldview. They yawned profusely when they were called out. When I entered the house, I saw my mother crying on the bed with my sister-in-law in her arms, and my father was pacing next to me like a monkey. I suddenly woke up with a jolt. The brothers looked at each other with distress in their eyes, thinking about how to coax him. Don't mention the sad points of a child's life. The more you mention them, the sadder they will become. Suchinfei clenched his fists and thought of a way to approach the tearful Mian Mian, squatting on the ground and winking at Mian Mian. Sister-in-law, do you still remember me? Mian Mian nodded, and when she saw that it was her 7th grandnephew that she liked very much, she said in a hoarse voice, remember. Suchinfei raised a big smile, you remember the 7th grandnephew. The 7th grandnephew is so happy. The 7th grandnephew wants my sister-in-law to accompany the 7th grandnephew to brush his teeth, wash his face and have dinner, okay. Hearing the pretentious eat rice, everyone present could not hold back their laughter. Lao Chi just had to be good in front of his parents. In front of brothers and outsiders like them, he had a cool and arrogant personality, but he had never used such a sweet voice to coax anyone. Is this method of diverting attention effective? They stared at Mian Mian beside the bed. Mian Mian thought of her mother's instructions, blinked her eyes and tried to cut away the tears. She pursed her lips and nodded, okay, Mian Mian, let's have dinner with our 7 grandnephews, oh. When talking about the latter part, Mian Mian couldn't help crying. She twitched and squeezed the small porcelain bottle in her hand tightly. Mom and Dad can't eat anymore. Mom and Dad are asleep. I call them and they can't wake up. I miss my parents. Woo woo woo. Suchinfei didn't expect that his words to divert attention would make her think of Uncle Zeng and Great Uncle Zeng. The little rabbit-like ant cried even harder. Suchinfei wanted to punch himself. He really deserved to die. Why didn't he think that Uncle Zeng and Great Uncle Zeng wouldn't be able to eat now? He wiped Mian Mian's tears awkwardly, and the skin under Mian Mian's eyes was cold and rough under his fingers. This is because I cried too much, and my face was chapped from crying. Suchinfei has never been so flustered. He was afraid that his hand would make Mian Mian feel even more uncomfortable, so he comforted her softly, sister-in-law, please stop crying, your little face is cracked from crying. As soon as he said this, Mrsu and her brothers took out their mobile phones, opened the online shopping page, and quickly placed an order for the best and most expensive children's face cream. Quantity, get a box first and use it later. Then they gathered around Mian Mian again, talking about buying toys and buying delicious food. Under all the talk, Mian Mian still cried sadly. In the end, Suchinjin frowned and said in a clear and cold voice, sister-in-law, as long as you do more good deeds and accumulate faith and merit, Uncle Zeng and Great Uncle Zeng will wake up. Mian Mian sobbed and said, I don't want my great uncle and great uncle to wake up, hiccup, I want my parents to wake up. I'm sorry, my great nephew calls them great uncle and great uncle, they are your parents. As long as you do good things, your parents will wake up soon. Mian Mian listened to the consolation from her eldest grandnephew and took out the porcelain bottle in her hand. Mian Mian knows, but Mian Mian still misses her parents. Mian Mian, just cry a little more and you'll be fine. Her little mind was filled with images of being with her parents on the mountain. Just thinking about not seeing my parents for a long time makes me want to cry. But if my aunt keeps crying, it will only waste time. Suchinjin's handsome face was expressionless and hit the nail on the head. The sooner my aunt acts, the sooner they can wake up. Mian Mian looked at Suchinjin blankly. That's right, she kept crying and the problem couldn't be solved. Only by working hard to wake up Daddy's mother from now on can Daddy's mother wake up as soon as possible. Mian Mian wiped her tears. Okay, Mian Mian needs to start taking action from now on. She needs to make a serious fortune-telling for herself and her relatives to see what she should do. Nephew, can you lend me your turtle? To Mian Mian, yesterday, When helping to catch ghosts, Mian saw a big turtle in the yard. It is actually possible to tell fortunes with copper coins. There are copper coins in her little bag. But my mother said that the tortoise is a relative of the innate four spirits Suan Wu, and it is the most accurate to use the tortoise to help with divination. Mr. Su nodded, okay. The servant put the turtle in the basin and brought it to the room. Mian squatted by the basin, with red eyes and a milky voice, talking to the turtle. Hello, turtle, Mian would like to ask you to help with fortune telling. After the fortune telling, can I share the meat with you? The Su family watched Xiao Nachuanza talking to Wogui with a very serious expression, and they were too embarrassed to disturb them, so they just stared at them intently. After asking the turtle, Mian raised her head and asked Mr. Su sheepishly. The turtle said it wants to eat prawns later, the live ones. Is that okay, nephew? Before Mr. Su could answer, Su Chenfei had already said, eat, feed it a big one. I'll place an order for it right now. After finishing his words, Mr. Su got a roasted chestnut in exchange for it. Su Chenfei was beaten by his father, covering his head with a look of grievance on his face. Wasn't he so happy to see his aunt finally getting better that he forgot that the aunt was calling him dad? It's excusable. With the consent, Mian took the turtle out of the water with confidence. The turtle retracted its hands and feet into its shell, and water dripped from its body. After a while, the water was almost dripping, and Mian gently threw the turtle towards the ground. The turtle flipped dozens of times in the air and landed safely on the heavy children's carpet. It stuck its head out, swaying as if it was dizzy, and crawled crookedly in front of Su Chenfei before stopping. Mian saw the turtle stop, looked at the turtle lying on the ground, and stared at Su Chenfei with her big eyes. Su Chenfei was stunned. What's wrong, little aunt? Mian looked at Wogui again carefully before replying to Su Chenfei. Gigi will help Mian figure it out. If Mian follows you, you can save your parents. Do you need Mian's help with something? Su Chenfei thought about the Wazong incident and nodded. Yes, I want to ask my aunt to go to Wazong with me in a week's time. As soon as these words were said, the other brothers of the Su family looked at Su Chenfei angrily. What are you doing? My sister-in-law has not stayed at home for a few days, but she is going to Wazong with Su Chenfei? What a bargain! What is Wazong? Hearing Mian's question, the family looked at Mian again and explained to Mian about the baby. Mian nodded after hearing this and said, then Mian will go. Mian will work hard to perform well. Since they were going to film a variety show, the family discussed whether to use money to build momentum and increase popularity first, but the eldest brother Su Chenjin said, if you use money to pile up, it may make the audience disgusted. Lao Chi is a good example. Since when it comes to merit, if statistics like the existence of my sister-in-law, she is no longer an ordinary person like us. Su Chenfei was hacked by people on the internet. At first, they also wanted to run the business. It was okay at first, but then it started to backfire. Netizens all say that the Su family relies on their money power to bully others and deliberately market their products. Even if they present evidence, no one will believe it. They say that money is a big deal in this world. In the long run, Su Chenfei said forget it, marketing is useless. People's stereotypes are too serious, and they think everything is shady. If they use the same method to deal with my sister-in-law's affairs now, but it still gets backfired and damages my sister-in-law's image, won't it in turn affect my sister-in-law? After all, the one who counts the number of people who like my sister-in-law and calculates their merits is not mortals like them, it may be gods. When everyone heard it, they thought it made sense. If the entertainment industry's tricks are used and the ant is turned into the kind of child that the capitalists say on the internet, it may be self-defeating. So in the end, the Su family decided to act as down-to-earth as possible in the future and not rely too much on money ability. After making good plans, the plan became to connect with Wazong first, and then give Suchinfei special training, trying to make the seventh young son of the Su family, who has no fingers in the spring water, get in touch with the earth first, so that Suchinfei can not drag the child down. The Hind Legs of Elders. The title of the baby drama is The Daily Life of Cute Babies. The director received a call from Suchinfei, saying that he was going to bring a little girl to participate in the recording of the show, and he immediately became excited. Quickly, let the publicity team prepare first, announce Suchinfei's group and emphasize that he is bringing a 3.5-year-old girl to the show. Within half an hour, the publicity team, which worked overtime, posted the news on the official blog. The official blog was instantly blasted. Suchinfei brings a 3-year-old girl, is it an illegitimate daughter? I'm speechless. The previous accusation against Suchinfei for having underage must be true. Sudandan is so shameless. The young lady also said that Sudandan was with many women at the same time. It must be true. Not long after, the entry #Chinfei illegitimate daughter hashtag was pushed up on Vblog, and it instantly hit the popular search list on Vblog. That day, Suchinfei, who was learning how to braid a little girl's hair and was so exhausted, received a call from his good brother Qin Tao. Didn't you say you brought a nephew to the show? How can you bring a girl? Is it possible that you really have an illegitimate daughter? This is not good, as you will be blackmailed even more. Suchinfei felt relieved by his good brother's concern. He glanced at Mian, who was reading a painting book next to him, and said proudly, "It's okay, buddy. We'll discuss the details when we meet in a few days. Don't worry, it's really okay." On the other end of the phone, Qin Tao frowned when he heard Suchinfei's relaxed voice. Suchinfei, what's going on? He originally thought that Suchinfei would be hurt by the abuse on the internet, and wanted to comfort him to prevent Suchinfei from retreating in anger. Suchinfei must not retreat from the circle. If he retreats, he will be in trouble. But Suchinfei's condition is actually so good. Qin Tao was confused. He turned the red bead bracelet on his hand and said warmly, "Okay, I'm relieved that you are in such good condition. This is a live broadcast, so you must pay attention." Suo Sun said a lot of precautions. Suchinfei nodded gratefully, "Thank you, brother, I will treat you to dinner when I have the opportunity in the future." End of this chapter. My aunt is 3.5 years old. She holds a milk bottle and tells fortunes. The whole intern. Author, Fox Chirp. Chapter 10. Chapter 10. A ghost came last night. The highlight of the daily life of cute babies is the cuteness of the little girls being in different environments, encountering different events, and reacting differently to adults. The cute kids have different personalities and have their own strange ideas. The audience couldn't help but burst out laughing while watching the last issue. The last episode of the show has accumulated a lot of die-hard fans who only watch variety shows. These fans have already gotten to know the adult guests of the show, and are planning to start a live broadcast to find their favorite cute babies, and then stay dedicated to them. However, these variety show fans who only watch variety shows but do not follow stars are annoyed by the content on the barrage. Some of Suchinfei's anti-fans kept posting comments and commentaries before the live broadcast started, asking about some of the things Suchinfei had done, in order to boycott Suchinfei's live broadcast room. The most talked about thing is, of course, Suchinfei's dark eyes when he was on camera, as if he was a drug addict, and how he had with underage girls at the age of 17. He also directed Suchinfei to organize Weibo and let people read it. He also emphasized that the little girl Suchinfei brought to the show was Suchinfei's illegitimate daughter. It's so annoying, the main character of the show Cute Baby is a child, what does it have to do with adults? Poisonous, right, if Suchinfei really had a problem, the police would have arrested him long ago is what you said useful. The police did not arrest him because he is the son of the richest family, ha ha ha, money can only make people go around. Before the show even started, there was a quarrel on the barrage. The quarrel lasted until 8 o'clock, and then it stopped because of the diversion of the live broadcast room. This issue of Cute Baby also has 5 pairs of adults and children as guests. The filming started in the morning before the guests woke up. Even though it was divided into 5 small screens, when the luxury of the Su family estate appeared on the screen, there were still many fans of other artists who couldn't help but enter Suchinfei's live broadcast room. The lawn front yard and backyard are comparable to a football field, full of roses, a castle-like dream mansion, and the spiral staircase and modern elevator in the inner house are perfectly combined. Help, is this the living environment of the richest family? In a daze, I felt like I was in some national park, such a big garden, how could it be so beautiful? After playing the entire environment of the Su family, the camera advanced to the top floor. After passing European-style doors one after another, a room with pink patterns stands out. There is no doubt that this is a room for a little girl. Pushing open the door, the live broadcast camera moved forward. After walking for a long time, I saw the pink lace princess bed in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. Is this a rich person's children's room? Admired. Help, I walked for 2 minutes before I reached the bed. Unlike me, I was there just 2 steps into the door. There were 2 people sleeping on the bed, one big and one small, wearing the same style of strawberry bear short-sleeved pajamas. The older one is naturally Suchinfei, while the younger one is a cute girl with a face like a red apple. Both of them were sleeping on their backs, and they didn't even feel that anyone had entered the room. Seeing the protagonist of this live broadcast room, the content of the barrage immediately turned into accusations. Laughing to death, Qin Tao and his brother in the live broadcast room next door have already started their morning run. Why are they still sleeping here? Su Dandy is indeed a dandy, he must sleep until 10 o'clock before getting up again, right? Obviously they debuted at the same time. Our brother Tao is already the best actor, and he still works so hard to maintain his figure, but Suchinfei is so lazy, it's not without reason. I heard that Suchinfei was able to appear in Cute Baby because of brother Tao's help. It's a waste, mud can't hold up the wall. Qin Tao and Suchinfei are good brothers. Qin Tao likes to take Suchinfei with him in all kinds of things, so now the program team also puts Qin Tao and Suchinfei's live broadcast windows side by side. On one side of the screen, Suchinfei and the little girl were fast asleep. They didn't even know that the recording had started, and they had no sense of time. On the other side, Qin Tao took his younger brother running together and slowed down the pace for his younger brother. The scene was sunny and positive. The contrast is very obvious. Everyone in the Su family who gathered in the audiovisual hall to watch the live broadcast was furious when they saw the barrage. It is okay to say that Suchinfei got up late. Suchinfei promised to get up early but didn't get up yet. This should indeed be said. But when it comes to his sister-in-law/aunt, how can this be done? Immediately, Mr. Su took out his mobile phone and posted the barrage using the account he had registered long ago. Sister-in-law is the best, what's wrong with kids getting up late? But this article was soon submerged by everyone's barrage, and it couldn't make any splash at all. Among the large amount of criticism, there are also a few scattered praises from variety show fans. This little girl looks so cute, and Suchinfei looks so handsome. I am so handsome that I decided to stay here. Ha ha ha, why did Suchinfei slap his mouth when he stuck his out while sleeping? It made me laugh to death. As mentioned above, didn't it mean that Suchinfei had heavy dark circles under his eyes as soon as he appeared on camera, looking like he was taking drugs and overindulging in sex? Why does Suchinfei look so healthy in the camera? At this time, Mrsu's voice came from the screen. Lao Chi, wake up, the show has started. Just kidding, if Lao Chi hadn't insisted on sleeping with my sister-in-law, how could it have been possible for Lao Chi to sleep until now? Aren't you afraid that if you come in and call Lao Chi, you'll wake up your sister-in-law too? Mrsu yelled for a long time, but Suchinfei still slept like a pig. Instead, her eyelashes trembled and she slowly opened her eyes. Seeing Mrsu, she smiled sweetly and said, "Good morning, niece-in-law." The sweet little voice still has the feeling of being sleepy. Mrsu is so cute. Ouch, why is her sister-in-law so cute? I originally wanted to hold Mian in my arms as I have been used to doing these past few days, but thinking about the live broadcast now, I held back and only gently reminded, "Sister-in-law, the filming has started." Mian rubbed her eyes with her little hands, sat up from the bed, and whispered, "Well, I'm up." She looked at the dark camera, thinking about the training these days, and waved her little paw. "Good morning everyone, my name is Mian." In the camera lens, the cute little girl's face still has some baby fat, and she has a sweet smile on her lips. The smooth, shoulder-length hair has a little hair sticking up from a night's sleep, and the whole person looks very soft and cute. Ah, this child is really cute. Why do I feel a little strange? Did this kid call Suchinfei's mother his nephew-in-law? Is it Suchinfei's mother who is speaking? Suchinfei's mother called this kid Ziogu, but she calls herself Mian. Is it two names? The barrage of crazy Suchinfei stopped because Mrsu and Mian called each other. Everyone guessed whether these two names were what they thought. Mian had already put on her slippers at this time. Mrsu saw that Mian was up and Suchinfei was still lying on the bed sleeping like a pig. She frowned and tried to slap Suchinfei's protruding butt. Before I could take the photo, I was pulled by Mian. Ziotai Tuanzi hugged Mrsu's neck and whispered, "Last night, a ghost came to look for Mian and scared the seventh grandnephew. Let him sleep a little longer, niece-in-law." They all turned off the lights and went to bed last night, and she slept soundly. But while he was sleeping, he was suddenly kicked by his seventh nephew. When she woke up, she saw that there was a little doll smaller than her lying on the head of the seventh grandnephew, sucking the luck of the seventh grandnephew. In order to attract luck and succeed, he also gave his 7 nephews nightmares. The 7 great-nephews kept struggling. "I don't know how long this little doll ghost has been here." Mian collected the ghost and drew a calming charm for the 7th grandnephew. Then the 7th grandnephew slept soundly and his dark eyes returned to normal. Mrsu was startled when she heard Mian's words. "A ghost came last night?" No wonder Lao Chi promised to get up early, but he is still sleeping now. It turns out to be excusable. She wanted to ask for details, but now that it was being broadcast live, she could only hold back. Thinking of the shooting schedule given by the program team, I shot at home before 11 o'clock. You have to get on the program team's van at 11 o'clock on time and go to the airport to take a plane to the filming location. Mrsu knelt down and explained to Mian, "Little aunt, my nephew-in-law knows that you feel sorry for Lao Chi, but the program is important and we can only let him get up now." Mian listened and nodded, "Okay then, let's call the 7th nephew." Mrsu heard Mian agree and slapped Suchinfei on the butt. Ouch, the slap was so powerful that Suchinfei wailed in pain and sat up. The pitiful cry like a piglet was enough to show how hard Suchinfei's mother beat him. The audience couldn't help but laugh out loud, including Suchinfei's anti-fans, who also sent a series of barrage comments like "ha ha ha. Hitting someone with a dead hand is really the real mother." End of this chapter.